Welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Corey Wren. I'm a vegan sociologist, a vegan feminist, and a vegan witch. And as I'm recording this, we are approaching Litha, summer solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere. If you'd like to learn how to veganize this, albeit already quite vegan sabbat, stick around and I'll give you some ideas. In my book, Vegan Witchcraft, I basically am trying to approach witchcraft from a vegan perspective and bring in some vegan theory, critical animal studies theory, some vegan feminism, some ecofeminism, in order to sort of give a booster shot to Western witchcraft, which has, in the 20th and 21st centuries, attempted to really sit with all of the negativity that is surrounding folk magic, witchcraft, paganism, and try to turn that, flip it into a positive. One of the main elements of modern witchcraft in the West, in that vein, is a supposed solidarity with fellow animals. So historically, having connection with fellow animals, other species, would have been seen as something suspicious, especially in the early modern era when humanity as a status, as a social role, was being formed. And of course, because of misogyny and sexism, if women were seen to ally with other animals, that was a point of suspicion. So that's why you see familiars, especially in British culture, a major part of the witchcraft trials and accusations against just regular women, healing women, folk healing women, women who knew how to use herbs, women who were living on the margins. If they were seen to be working in cahoots with fellow animals, that could be something that would cause a lot of vulnerability to them as far as potentially being accused, even killed for being a witch. So modern witchcraft is trying to embrace that, amongst other things, but it's really trying to embrace this alliance with fellow animals. Unfortunately, in my research for the book, I've found that a lot of that is just talk. Because just, for example, today's video theme, looking at the sabbats, probably the go-to way that sabbats are celebrated is with feasting. In witchcraft, that's very important because a lot of other institutionalized religions really look down on taking pleasure or being a glutton or indulging yourself. Whereas witchcraft, especially as that has been informed by feminism, it's about, well, let's not worry about that. Let's actually embody all of the pleasurable possibilities of being human on earth. Well, that's why feasting comes in on this Sabbath. It's an excuse basically to come around and come together and start eating and eat lots of good stuff and junk and, you know, the cakes and the wine and unfortunately a lot of meat and dairy. Now, when you look at other Sabbats around the wheel of the year, some are worse than others. Like Samhain is all about slaughtering non-human animals, unfortunately. Winter solstice tends to have a lot of that as well. And even Imbolc, I've done a video on this. Imbolc is supposed to be a time of fasting and would have been practiced historically as eating vegan. Even that has been sort of colonized by Western modern animal agricultural foodways. And even Imbolc is celebrated now in modern witchcraft with a lot of dairy and some meat. But Litha, summer solstice, is a little bit different. If you look at the kitchen witchcraft books, although meat is still a part of that, there tends to be much more of an emphasis on fruits and vegetables and flowers, things that are coming into season as the sun grows longer. So that's something I'd like to sit with. This is one of those sabbats that is not going to be tainted by this modern fascination with killing animals, sacrificing animals, and eating animals. So we can really embrace this as a vegan Sabbat and really focus on fruits, vegetables, and also other lovely things that are growing like flowers. So if you look at the kitchen witchcraft books, like I said, sometimes there will be mention of meat in there just because it's ubiquitous in the West, because it's assumed that if we eat this way now, we always ate that way, but actually we didn't. Scott Cunningham actually advises that you eat fiery foods to symbolize or draw on the symbolism of the sun. And we know in tropical regions, that's one of the reasons food was really spicy, is because of the overpowering sun, which caused foods to decay more quickly. So yes, maybe you can have a nice spicy curry or a nice chili, whatever it may be. I don't know. I'm not really keen on hot and spicy foods, heavy foods when it's really hot out. Actually, I prefer something cooler, lighter, and maybe a nice crisp salad. But food aside, I think that is important because many of the Sabbats really do center food and feasting. But setting that aside, coming back to Scott Cunningham, he also has a really nice ritual for honoring the sun and using the symbolism of sunflowers. Where I'm recording this here in England in June, it's not sunflower season yet. But if you're somewhere where you can get a hold of sunflowers, then yes, you may use this as a ritual. Or sunflower seeds in modern food systems are everywhere, so you can get some sunflower seeds. The idea is to make a wish on your sunflower seed as the sun is setting, because the sunflower, of course, is very symbolic of the sun. We might also use this as a time as vegan witches, not just about what we want, what we can get, what we can eat, and what we do or don't do, but actually it can be a time for supporting non-human animals. As we are in an era of climate crisis, every summer on record, it seems, is the hottest summer on record. And so it can be very important then to provide fresh water and even food as appropriate for your free-living friends. The last point worth mentioning when it comes to celebrating solstice is that, at least here in the UK, it is a major event to travel to one of the major henges. So Stonehenge gets thousands and thousands of people every year, more and more each year, as paganism is being sort of having a resurgence, which is interesting because actually Stonehenge is about the winter solstice, not the summer solstice, but nonetheless. And then I personally go to Avebury every summer, which is a much nicer, accessible henge. But we need to be mindful as witches, vegan witches, when we enter these spaces, because historically these henges, archaeological research has shown that this would have been a major area for feasting, and that feasting would have included non-human animals, many of whom would have been marched there to their death. The idea, archaeologists are assuming that because most people in these prehistoric times did not eat animals regularly, it's very resource intensive to raise and kill animals, and hunting is very high risk and very resource intensive without any guaranteed result. So archaeologists have assumed that one of the reasons there's so much feasting in these spaces was in order to draw people, have a big party, and draw people from all over the country. And they did come up from all over the country for these major annual events. But as a vegan witch, when I'm walking into these spaces, I know that the average person goes in and has this sense of awe for this great connection through history. But as a vegan, I step into that, and I sense that, to be sure. But I also have this sense of this is a place of great suffering. And so I think it's important to honor that and sort of accept that energy and maybe leave an offering and do some healing work there. But always kind of carrying that in the back of my mind that this is a place of considerable death and suffering. And it's an unfortunate legacy that we've carried on throughout the thousands of years, and hopefully one day we'll look back and say we don't do that anymore. So that is Litha from a vegan witch perspective. Let me know what you do for summer solstice. Here in the UK, it is wild. I'm saying this as an American. The sun doesn't really go down till 10 o'clock at night, and then it's up again 6 hours later. It's wild. But anyway, it's a great time for me to get together with friends, and all my vegan witches come together, and we head up to Avebury and have a good old time. So I'm wishing you a really, really blessed Litha, and don't forget to like and subscribe, engage with the video so that YouTube knows what to do with it. Keep it witchy.